Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to be really respectful of your time, and then we also have people who joined us on Zoom. Definitely want to make sure that they're not sitting in dead silence. So, hello, welcome to the Project Rebound East Bay and Berkeley Underground Scholars, Rising Scholars, Contra Costa College Flex Week session. Say that 3 times fast. I'm Mariah Bruce. I'm the Senior Manager of Workforce and Economic Development at Contra Costa College. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started for those that are online. Just like to ask all virtual participants to enter their questions into the chat, and we'll be able to address them as we have Q&A time at the end of the student panel and at the end of each of the college's sessions. And just remember to remain muted. So just a little bit about what we're covering today. The staff and students from the California State University East Bay, Project Rebound, and the UC Berkeley Underground Scholars Program will share pretty much an overview about what those programs are, a brief overview. And then we're going to have the opportunity to hear from some students that are in these programs about their experience both at community college and utilizing the programs and transitioning. We'll take a little bit of a break, and there'll be some information that gets shared just in regards to statistics around rising scholars and incarceration and things like that during that time for those of you who are on virtually. Project Rebound will be able to get into some detail about their program, and then Underground Scholars as well after that. And then I'll close out with some information and some ways that you can get involved. So I now have the pleasure of turning the presentation over to Melvin Calloway, the program coordinator of CSU East Bay's Project Rebound, to give a brief overview of the program, and then he will turn it over to the Underground Scholars program.
Grand afternoon, and thank you all for being in attendance today. I would like to also say thank you for allowing us to be here. So my name is Melvin Calloway. I am the Project Rebound Coordinator for Cal State East Bay. I am also alumni of Project Rebound. I graduated in 2012 from San Francisco State. Our program is dedicated and geared towards helping and supporting the formerly incarcerated students with their academic journey. So what we're doing currently at Cal State East Bay, we're working with students. When I started last year, because we're in our first year, so we're in a provisional status. So when I started last year, we had 4 students, and now we're at 27. So our program has grown tremendously. So with that being said, we're just trying to still recruit, going out, doing presentations, sharing information, and also like going to other programs and services, and just kind of like collaborating with other system impacted programs. So that is pretty much our program. Our program is for the CSU system. So we have, like I said, 15 campuses. We are number 15, and we are also waiting on, I think, San Jose State and a few others. So we may have 3 more. So that is our program, and that is a brief overview. Our executive director, who is here with us today, she will be, Julian Lamb, she will be talking more about our program, going in more detail. So if you have any questions, we'll do Q&A at the end, and I'll be available. I have cards and everything else. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Sardajara. Thank you, Melvin. I'm one of 2 new co-associate directors for the Berkeley Underground Scholars Program at UC Berkeley. I am an alumni of UC Berkeley myself. I'm an alumni of the program. I'm from the Bay Area. I went to Chabot Community College. I transferred from there with the help of Berkeley Underground Scholars. I was a part of their first transfer cohort. So what we do, our program, it focuses on recruitment, retention, advocacy, and wellness. And we have a new pillar in the making, which we will talk about a little later on. And much in the same fashion as Project Rebound, which our program was actually modeled after with the help of, is Jason Bell? Jason Bell, yes. Jason Bell, you know, we got a lot of guidance from them. Well, not myself, but Danny. He will explain that a little bit later on too. But we received a lot of guidance from the Project Rebound model, and we established ourselves in the UC system. Again, we started at UC Berkeley only, but now we have a chapter at every UC campus. So just recently, we expanded system-wide. And yeah, we focus on making sure that more students get into the UC system, formerly incarcerated students specifically, as well as system impacted students. And we help make sure that they succeed, make it to and through the university. And yeah, so that's the brief overview of the program. Of course, we'll get into more detail as we continue the presentation. But yeah, if you guys have any questions afterwards, you know, Danny and myself will be here as well. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Melvin and Michael. So if I could have the student panelists come join us at the front, there's a table for each of you. And then Jolene said she wanted 9 too, so if we could put it in as well. All right, so thank you so much for joining us today. I think you guys got a list of questions, so hopefully you're not super surprised by anything that we ask you. But just so you know, there's 3 microphones in front of you. What you'll want to do is just, when it's your opportunity to speak, just press the button on the mic. The light will turn green so that everyone here and everyone in Zoom land can hear you. And then you'll turn it off when you're done with your speaking. All right, so for each of you, could you please introduce yourself and include your major and what your aspirational career goals are?
Hello, my name is Eldridge Walker. I just graduated with my bachelor's in chemistry from Cal State East Bay, and I'll be starting the master's program in chemistry in the fall, concentration in environmental chemistry, and it was a long road for me. All in all, it took 8 years. I started from the bottom in mathematics, remedial English, and worked my way up. I had a lot of positive influences in my life, and I had a couple setbacks while I was in school, and I never let anything stop me. I just kept going back, and then eventually I achieved my goal. And what I try to stress to young people out there that are interested in science and mathematics is like, don't let anything hold you back, because I was told that I wasn't qualified enough because of my remedial math and English scores, and I made it through. And currently right now I'm working with Project Rebound as like a STEM counselor / tutor. And I really would hope in the future I could help influence more students, especially students of color, to come into the sciences, because we're very underrepresented in that field. And a lot of people are intimidated by it. As soon as people meet me, they're like, can you tutor math? That's the first question I get. And a lot of people are scared of math. A lot of people are scared of chemistry, and a lot of people are scared of physics. And I want to be an example to show them that anybody can do it. You just have to put your mind to it. And career goal wise, I'm in graduate school. So the next step after that would be hopefully to continue to work with Project Rebound and possibly get into teaching at the Juvenile Justice Center. That's my goal. And working with at-risk youth and bringing more students into the science and technology, engineering and mathematics field, especially minority students, underrepresented students of color and women, because they need that different, a different viewpoint from people, because certain people think differently. And when you think differently, you can come up with different solutions, and you can come up with different answers to problems. And science needs that. And I'm just thankful to be here, and Project Rebound's helped me out a lot. So I just hope I can give back what I've been given. Thank you.
He made me emotional. My name is Hakeem. I'm an undergraduate at UC Berkeley, underground scholars, social welfare major. And man, that's why I do this. It's people like you. Yeah. What was the question? I'm sorry. He like threw me off, man. Like, for real.
Definitely take your time.
Yeah, it's just because, we get told so much what we can't do.
Mm-hmm.
And to hear somebody say, that they started from the bottom like that, especially in math and sciences, we're so underrepresented.
Mm-hmm.
We're so overrepresented in all the negative categories of society, and so underrepresented in those types. So man, please keep telling your story. I'm gonna make sure I get your information. Please keep telling it, find a way we could tap in. Melvin, you as well, bro, like same thing, right? Like these things are inspirational for me, because I still think about, people that I left behind incarcerated, great people that I know have great potential, right? And haven't been given a fair shake. So when you see directors and chemistry made, go like, you're gonna do dope things, you already, you know what I mean? Like these are the people that we've forgotten and left behind, right? So I'm a social welfare major. I plan on getting my master's. I'm into policy. I've been working with AB 280, the Mandela Bill, which is aimed at ending solitary confinement in California jails, prisons, and detention facilities. We got the supermajority in the assembly recently. So we're working on an upcoming lobby day on September 7th, where we're hoping to get the governor's support on that. So I think I'm finding a niche there where I feel like I can get my voice heard and hopefully do the same thing that I feel like we're all trying to do, right? For me, it was getting my voice back, but almost more importantly is giving others a voice. I have personally benefited from a lot of the work that amazing people behind the scenes have done. I'm working with them. These two guys right here, I remember Project Rebound as well, honestly. The first pamphlet I got that got me thinking about education while I was incarcerated was Project Rebound. And because of where I was, it just didn't work out with me signing up for classes. but it stuck with me. I'm like, Project Rebound, I can go to school still. It's not too late. I can go to school. That being said, I've been in prison, in and out of prison since 1998 until 2020, either in prison, county jail, on probation, on parole, or on the run. So from 1998 until 2020. So much like you said, hopeless, counted out, all those categories, right? So for a long time, I didn't know if I was capable of things like that. So Project Rebound started that. I ended up getting transferred to another prison, and I ended up getting the Underground Scholars flyer. And that just set something up. That just, it set a fire in me. And I say that to say, because these two guys here started that program, right? They're the founders of that program. I consider them both friends now. I don't know if I would be here today had that program not been started. I just don't. I had it in my locker, the flyer, right? It was like, I'm gonna do that. I can do that. So that's what started it. I got out, I went to Las Positas College in Pleasanton. I was able to stay rent-free with my sister. And this is one thing that I always try to tell people that have good intentions and goodwill. People need help. People don't need ideology. People don't need, oh, hey, just go online. Well, I don't have a computer, sir. You just want me to do things that sometimes people need a hand, right? Like, so I was able to stay rent-free for 7 months. And I'm just moving into my own apartment, right? For the first, like all these amazing things, but I've had so many resources and help along the way, right? So, yeah, I just appreciate everybody that comes to things like this and all the work that you guys do and all the barriers and obstacles that everybody's overcome. These guys know me. That's not me to get caught up. So that's pretty raw right there. So I thank you all for having me. Thank you.
Thank you all for just your introductions were already touched and impacted. So, I mean, just taking the time to come and share your stories and share your experiences and help us learn how to do better and be better practitioners and better faculty and better staff members and better leaders at this institution to serve you all well. It's really priceless. So really appreciate you all taking your time and being so open and sharing your stories. Okay, so. Okay, I don't think we're going to get through all the questions because you guys have such amazing things to say. So I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit and combine things. But I think you all got into this a little bit with what you just shared. But I'm going to kind of combine the next couple of questions about before you started college, what were you the most concerned about? And then why did you decide to go anyway? And I guess we can mix it up a little bit. We'll start with Hakeem this time. Go the other way.
Yeah, okay. I think for me, I was most concerned with probably my past. Just feeling like I wouldn't have a community, right, with whatever I was trying to do, unless it was a criminal community. So if I no longer wanted a criminal community, I had a fear that I wouldn't have, this type of setting available to me. I think for me, I didn't have a choice. I was either gonna serve life in prison, die, or change. It really wasn't a choice for me. I think for me, what I did have though, and I know that a lot of people don't have this, I knew that school was, I always knew that if I did switch it over and change, that school would be the way. Because I learned early on that school had that potential. I watched enough people coming up to know that school changes lives. So I think a lot of people that aren't necessarily into school, the traditional school, find it confusing sometimes because we don't have a lot of other things set up for people and a lot of choices, right? So yeah, for me it was really just force. I had some traumatic things happen while I was incarcerated before I got out. I lost some important people, wasn't able to be there, right? And that was very impactful. So I definitely decided that I didn't want to be that person anymore. So yeah, it was a combination of things, right? I would say, but yeah, and I'm so grateful and happy. And I tell people all the time, it's like the tale of two lives. It almost seems surreal a lot of times. So yeah. All right.
I think I agree with Hakeem. My biggest fear, or what I was worried about, was my background. Actually, when I started CC, it was in fall of 2011, and I was here way longer than 2 years, what the plan was. But as a parent, things come up with childcare, or really mine was childcare. And then my original major was to be a nurse. I wanted to be a RN because my first son, he was born with clubfoot, and for him to get his feet fixed, it was once or twice a week at Children's Hospital. And to go from him not being able to walk to where he can walk and be like a normal kid, really touched me. And then how nice the staff was. I said, I can do this. I would know from my own firsthand experience, so I'm not just looking at coming to them like as a medical professional, like, oh, you just have to do this. No, I understand on the other side as being a parent as well, seeing your kids as that. So I started doing I took anatomy, physiology, microbiology, I did all that. And then I had one more semester left, and then I could apply for nursing school. And that's when I realized they do background checks. And I said, oh, you know, I'm not getting in, because once they do that, they're not. So I actually stopped going to school, and I said, okay, I'm gonna get an expungement, and start with I thought that was gonna be like 6 months, and it took a lot longer than what I thought. And then I ended up, once I did that, I didn't come back to school right away. I was working and stuff. And then with that expungement, it actually was able for me, or enabled me, to get a job, a better paying job. So at that time I was like, okay, I'm cool with just working. And at the time I only had my one son. And then I ended up getting pregnant with twins. And it was like, okay, that's, where I'm just working is fine. But I got three boys, coming now. So this job is not gonna do it. And then if my kids come out anywhere near like me, and I tell them, oh, you guys got to go to school, you got to go to college, they're gonna be like, you didn't. So I decided, okay, I gotta be a role model for my own. So I said, let me come back to school. I reached out to I can't even remember the counselor's name, but I reached out here because my friend kept saying, because she was at Cal, and she was like, come to Cal, come to Cal. And I'm like, you don't have a background, you know what I mean? You were good, And she was like, no, like, they got a program there, like, for you guys. And they come with open arms for people with, they call, quote unquote, lived experience. And I was like, wait, what? And she was like, yeah, just apply. So I reached out to the counselor. I said, what do I got to do to get in there? And he even suggested go under American Studies. That's like a walk right in, it's not an impacted major, and then with American Studies, because, I told him what I want to do with the halfway houses and the at-risk youth center. He said, go in there, you could pick your classes in that major. Like, it's not structured where you have to take this, this, and this. You kind of go a little free will out there. And I was like, they what? He was like, yeah. So I did it. I got in, and the rest been pretty much history. I'm actually glad, that I did that. And I was able to find community on campus. And do not just sit there and take the classes and don't say nothing. You got to be a voice for yourself, because there's money out there, there's programs out there, there's so many things. And then at Cal, because I'm like, this is like everybody knows about Cal, it's like a little, what was it, like number one or number two, research, you know, in the world. Yeah. Yeah, in the world. It's not just in the United States, but in the world. And it's like, you did that. You got into somewhere where a lot of people can't say they are. And despite what you did, and I think that's what made me, realize, like, okay, and then me keep on going. I'm like, yeah, but my biggest fear was, like you said, my background, the choices I made when I was younger, that still affected me you know, in my adulthood, and even when I made choices in my adulthood, you know. But yeah, so that was my biggest fear, and I'm glad that I was able to overcome that. And there's schools and there's places and there's organizations that actually welcome that and want to see that, because we got a different drive, you know, just like parents do, you know, you got a different drive than, you know, someone hasn't been through nothing and didn't struggle. So, yeah.
Thank you, Eldridge.
So for me, it was a little different. I went to college straight out of high school and didn't really have any aspirations or goals. I think I was an anthropology major when I came in, partied myself out of there, got in trouble, went to prison. And right before I went to prison, I met a teacher, Juanita Barrena, who started Science Education Equity. And she saw something in me. And I was like, science, okay, whatever. I took this biology course, did great in it. And she's like, you're going to be a doctor one day. Let's get in this program. So I got in the program right before I went to prison. And I went to prison, came out. She helped me get back in school. And I still didn't really have the drive to be where I am today. I was just going because I thought that was the only thing that you could do to be successful, was go to college and get a degree. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. I ended up going through some more times and whatnot, dropped out, and was cooking for quite a while. And I kind of reached my pay height in cooking, was drinking and doing a lot of drugs and just having a real rough time. And then I came back to California and I was like, man, I went to Merritt for a little while, then I dropped out again from East Bay, and I went back to cooking again. And I was like, man, I do not want to do this. This is hard for $25 an hour. You know, I'm sweating and just like, I got to do something different. And then I got in trouble again. And I was in jail, and I remember I had turned down my court date. I'm like, I don't want to see the judge. Just let him violate me. I'll go to prison now. I'm tired of just being on probation. Just let them send me. And then I got on my knees and prayed that day, and I asked for help. You know, I'm a believer in faith. And the next day they came to my door and were like, Walker, court. I'm like, I have court? I just denied you guys yesterday. So they brought me into court, and I just looked terrible. I was like 145 pounds, sucked up, hair is just disgusting, beard out to here. And they were like, they're talking, and the judge was like, is there anything we can do to help you? I'm like, man, I've been arrested 18 times in the last 6 months. I need a program or something. He goes, we'll send you to a program. I'm like, okay. He goes, we're going to send you to Muriel Wright. And when I got back to the Potter, he was like, man, you don't want to go there. That's like a boot camp. I'm like, anything will help. And I went there and I met this awesome guy, Mr. Rick, who just recently passed away. And he had me do this thing, what's called a triple column. And in a triple column, you address the issues that you have in life, like you were talking to a third grader. So my issue was, why do I keep getting high? And I started answering these questions. And when I got down to the bottom of the questions, each question, I kept having the same basic answer: not taking my medication, hanging around with the wrong group of friends. And it helped me realize and analyze where my problems were stemming from. And once I addressed that problem, I can move forward. Then I was like, okay, I'm going back to school. Not because I'd make more money going to school, but because I knew that was something I needed to complete to make myself feel better and feel like I achieved something. So once I overcame the drug addiction, a year later, I applied to school, and I went back to school, and I probably had about a year of school left, but I spread it out over 2 so I wouldn't be too overwhelmed. It was right at the end of COVID, and I transferred to another rehab. And while I was in rehab, I was doing like some Zoom, some in person. It was really difficult because with chemistry, you can't really do chemistry over Zoom. You need to, it's a hands-on type of major. So the first and then we came in, and I hadn't been in school for like 5 years. So I was having to teach myself calculus over again. I'm watching YouTube videos, just putting in way more hours than was already needed for a difficult major. And I made it through, and I had some good people help me. One thing that I want to stress to people, like, a lot of people think that nobody will help you when you go to college, but if you look for help, people are out there with open arms. I had teachers write letters of recommendation to the judge for me. When I came back in, they were just happy to see me. coming into office hours, outside of office hours, any questions I had. And then I found another program that I think will help a lot of you here if you're listening. It's called the Department of Rehabilitation. And they have one for each county. They have one in Santa Clara. Mine I use Santa Clara County. And it's for people that have been formerly incarcerated and they have mental health issues. And what you do is you call them and tell them, hey, I would like to go back to school, either vocational or regular, and tell them that you want to go to school. And what they'll do is you'll have to jump through a few hoops, fill out some paperwork, answer a whole bunch of questions, do some intake. But what ends up happening is they'll pay your tuition, and there's no max limit on it. They'll pay your tuition. After you do your financial aid packet, they'll pay your tuition, and they'll pay for anything that you need while you're in school: books, school supplies, new clothes, all kinds of stuff. And they helped me out. And then Cathedral of Faith, I went through them and they helped me out. They bought me school clothes and just stuff so I could feel good about myself. So I was wearing like the same sweats and hooded sweatshirt every day because I had burnt so many bridges that I didn't have any help from my family or anybody anymore. So I had to start over and show everybody. So I'm taking the bus from South San Jose to East Bay 2 hours a day, just 4 hours transit back and forth. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I went to Cathedral of Faith. I'm like, hey, brother, you need some clothes? I'm like, yeah, man, I need some clothes. And they're only supposed to give you $100. And the guy was like, you know what? I'm going to give you 200 so you can go. And I went to Ross. I was so happy and just got all kinds of clothes. And so I felt better about myself. So they helped me. And then there's another program that I went through called Life Moves. After I'd been in rehab for about 2 years, I left to a THU and I was there for about a month. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and get on this low-income housing thing, but it's gonna take like 6 months to a year to get low-income housing, they said. That's how long it takes. That's the average timetable. So I applied for low-income housing. I'm looking everywhere and everything's out of my price range and it's low-income housing. And I go to this one place, I'm like, man, this is beautiful. I really want this spot. It's right across the street from Light Rail. I can get to school via public transit in an hour and 15 minutes. This would be perfect. So I prayed on it. And 3 days later, they called me. And they're like, do you want the place? When can you move in? I didn't have any money. I said, I can move in tomorrow. And so I called my brothers, and by now I built up some trust and rapport with my family. And they were like, my brother's like, you know, before he lent me the money, he's like, hey, are you going to graduate school? It's like, yeah. He's okay, here's your graduation present. Take it early. So they paid for that, and I got in there. And then I had another program called Life Moves that they helped me out with. It's for anybody that has ever been incarcerated. And what Life Moves does is they pay your first 6 months to a year of rent. But you pay Life Moves your rent. And what they do is they take the rent check that you send them and they put it in a bank account for you. So after the 6 months to the year is up, Life Moves hands you back a check for $10,000. So for anybody, as long as you've been incarcerated or whatever, they'll help you out. And you just call them and they're willing to help you. But you have to send them money. You got to jump through a few hoops. You got to answer questions. You got to fill out some paperwork. So you have to look for this stuff, because I don't know if a lot of people remember, when you get out of county jail or prison, they give you that $200 check, but they also give you a stack of papers about this thick with resources on it. And what I did was I was very proactive and I read those resources. I made the phone calls and I kept going around and around and around and around. And the help is out there. If you want it, you just have to want it. And it's, you got to have a deep desire to get through this. I'm not going to sit here and say school is easy, because it isn't. It's very difficult, especially if you have children or transportation issues like I did, or mental health like I do, or drug addiction. There's a lot of things that you have to put into play for people like us. So back to the original question, what was my biggest, what was I afraid of? It was drug addiction, mental health, having a place to live, and transportation. All those things were addressed, not by me, but by help. And the help is out there. You have Department of Rehabilitation, you have Life Moves, you have Project Rebound. There's so much stuff out there. You just have to be willing to get off your butt and look for it. So that's it.
Wow, you guys have given so much, and I know we're a little over what this section is supposed to be, but I feel like there's a lot of added value in this section, and there's one more question that I feel like is really pertinent for this audience, so we're probably going to shift and make the other section slightly shorter, but I have to ask you all, considering that we have staff and faculty and counselor here, what suggestions would you have for them to better serve formerly incarcerated students. And I'm gonna put Eldred on the spot again and make him start talking right away.
Well, for me, since I was already at East Bay with a felony when I came, and then I got in trouble again and left, my lawyer thought it'd be a good idea to, this is gonna lead into your question, I promise. My lawyer thought it would be a good idea to get my transcripts, because I had pretty decent grades, and asked for a couple professors to write me letters of recommendation. So they asked my research advisor, Dr. Eric Helgren, I had been doing research with him, and a professor, Dr. Derek Kimball, to write letters of recommendation for me. And once they knew, kind of everybody knew that I had went to jail. The science community is very small at the school. So when I came back, it was like, everybody knew. I kind of wanted to keep it quiet and hush hush, but it was like, they're giving me hugs. Like, oh, we're so happy to see you. We're glad you're back. And are you doing okay? And like, pull me aside, like, are you all right? Do you need anything? Things like that. But one thing that they didn't do was treat me any differently than any other student in terms of like, look down upon me or feel sorry for me. They still challenged me. They still treated me like a young scholar trying to get to the level where they're at. So what I recommend any staff or faculty to do is understand that you have a student that has been formerly incarcerated that may be experiencing some hardships that you may need to take into granted, like, you have your mental health, you have your drug addiction, and like look for signs of struggle. Like if you notice that this kid is like, he's never late to class, but all of a sudden he's been late every day 2 weeks in a row, or he looks a little disheveled and he's always well kempt. Look for things like that, but don't treat them like a convict, because that is something that you don't want to be labeled as. You don't want to be labeled as a convict. That's something that that's been my biggest, the thing I hate the most is like people saying, oh, he's an ex-convict, and looking at you differently because you are an ex-convict. And I know it's going to be difficult for me in the future with the type of work I do, trying to find a job in the field that I want to go into, but I have faith that I can do it just based upon showing my past track record. And teachers and professors, beautiful letters of recommendation and support will help people and a person like myself achieve the next step. So just support, that's all they need. It's just a little outside extra support, not coddling, but recognizing that they have a different set of circumstances than the average student, but at the same time, realizing they are a student and they need to be treated the same and equally, if that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense. Thank you. And Hakeem?
Yeah, I would say to understand that even as formerly incarcerated students, everybody's story is different, right? Like everybody's journey with incarceration, how they ended up there, their childhoods, their experiences in and out, or just one time, right? A lifetime or one time, like all these variations kind of shape a student's needs, right? So I would say being perceptive to what a student really needs. This is just my pet peeve. People give advice to people to do stuff, especially, and they're trying to help, I guess, right? And they're not thinking, hey, just all you gotta do is go boop, boop, bop, 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 and do that. Well, wait a minute, but I'm missing the first boop, bops, and bop, bop. All I got is the last one. So what about those other 4 steps? I don't have a ride. I don't have a smartphone. I don't have all these things that I need to just get to that bop that's gonna get me this result, right? So I think just really finding ways to practically, right? To think practically with what you're advising someone to do, right? Or how you're trying to help them. Because if they're just words, then those are a dime a dozen, right? If we're really trying to have an impact, then it's like right now, I have people that are coming home. I take them, hey, you need a job? I know a janitor job over there they're hiring. I'll come pick you up. We'll get you, I'll drive you up there. And it sucks sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, right? But I know that I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't have it. I lived rent-free for 7 months. The only time I ever did that was in jail. It's the only time I ever had that opportunity, but my sister knew that I wasn't going to be able to focus on what I needed to focus on while worrying about rent in the Bay Area and all these different things, right? Technology for a lot of formerly incarcerated students is a problem. Just working Zoom can be overwhelming. It was for me. It was embarrassing. It was lightweight traumatized. Like, I'm a Zoom magician now, though. But I'm just like, it's real, and it would detour someone, right? So I just think that, and then the compassion. Like he said, it's not coddling because, as you stated, we are some of the most resilient and driven, right? Because of what we've been through, right? Rock bottom will teach you a lot more than the mountaintop, right? So it's hard to rattle me because of what I've been through. Not too much. It's like, okay, we're gonna be all right, right? So I think just that direction and having somebody that they know cares can go a long way. Sometimes that's all it is. A bright smile when you see somebody, that stuff goes a long way. So I'm also a firm believer that a person's gonna do what they wanna do at the end of the day. So if an individual is not committed, because I've done this, and this, I call it straddling the fence, right? If a person is not committed to the change, then the change probably won't come. So in that regard, I would say learning how to discern, not like pick who you're going to help, but right, understanding like, okay, this is a real problem. This needs real consideration and real help. So just being aware, I guess, conscious, right? Just thinking like deeply about, what's needed. So, and I think everybody's like lived experience plays a big part in being able to do that, right? Which you've been around, you kind of know. So, yeah, thank you.
I think what on a community college level that would help that they didn't have here at CC, because in a lot of my classes, because I'm a lot older than the kids in the class, because I call them kids because they're in their early 20s and I'm in my 40s now, but I was in my late 30s, when I was here at CC, and the only time I knew of like other students being here that were incarcerated, if I already knew them from the streets, and I didn't know about Underground Scholars or Project Rebound, while I was here. I didn't even think organizations like that even existed because it's like we kind of get written off, once you're considered or under this certain label, you trying to switch and do that. That transition just wasn't, so transparent or easy. And then when I did find out, I was just because when my friend had told me, but she was at UC Berkeley and she knew my story. She knew, shit, I had to get money, I had to do different things, and it wasn't the legal way, and that's when she was saying there's stuff like that here for you. And not till I got to school, as far as at Cal, that I know, wow, it's here, and it's not just at Cal, it's at other campuses that are advocating for that, which I didn't know at my community college level, even though it's right here, I think maybe a sense of community or even an organization for like that can open us up to know, hey, there's other, like he said, I know about DOR, but I don't know about, would you say Live Works? Life Moves, and that other, other resources. And we're gonna go through things that the average student that hasn't been through anything, like I still talk to a therapist now, you know what I mean, from my mental, issues that um, I say still have defects from incarceration and childhood trauma as well. But I think maybe having that little sense of maybe an organization or a community here, so that people can see other people that have the same story or live experience or something similar, so they know, okay, well, I have this organization that I can go to for here. Like even with Underground Scholars, they have a wellness fund where your therapy sessions, or any kind of, medical things that, that you do incur, if you do choose to do that, you can get up to what, 1,000 or 2,000, depending on how it goes, to get that reimbursement back, which actually helps out a lot. They also have like wellness clinics where they have like massages and acupuncture and things of that. Like and they're really open because they understand our struggle because they've been there as well. I think having an organization like that, maybe on a community level, or a community college level, would actually, be beneficial to the students here.
point. So those of you who are part of our campus community, a big part of why we're starting to do this extra learning is because we're building those programs now. So just know, we're going to take a couple of questions from you if we got the mic together. And then we're going to break. During the break, those of you that are on Zoom, just know a QR code is going to pop up on your screen that you can feel free to scan to find ways to be involved in shifting our campus culture and building the campus support that Maricela was talking about is so important, or just filling it out and saying that you want to continue to learn how to be a better support for this population. So, Jaleesa, were there any questions from our online community? Okay. If there's any questions in the room, Jaleesa is gonna hand a mic to whoever has a question, so that our Zoom community can hear the question, and we'll be able to take one or maybe two questions from the room before we move on. Thank you all so much. Did you have a question, Lorena? Oh, she's bringing the mic to you right now.
Language has been used to dehumanize us in this country, and so it's important that as we're starting a program and connecting to resources, that we ourselves are very conscious of the language that we're using. In the same way, right, we have illegal aliens, right, like what's happening, a convict, like all of those things. And I think that that's important, that's foundational for culture shifting. So you all touched on that and treating as a student. I know when we were here and having meetings, I said, look, if we were at West County Detention Facility, and in initial meetings, we were talking about the inmates. I said, no, if they're gonna be taking our classes, they're students, and we need to address them as students. And the rest, it's like any student that comes in, right? There's always life issues that happen. So just real important that that was mentioned, and that it was mentioned from you all, from the lived experiences piece as well. So thank you for adding that, because that needs to be said.
So I have a short question. It's for both universities. What has helped, what has helped you with you guys' success, like from East Bay, for you, Eldridge, Project Rebound, and then what have helped you, brother and sister at Cal Berkeley with your program, and what are some of the things that may need, like what are some resources that may be needed moving forward to help support the next brother or sister coming into those system impacted programs?
I think for me, what helped out is I came in, my mouth is not going to be closed. I knew I needed help, and I think that's the biggest part that someone got to realize, like to me, before I got to Cal, help, what is that, a new perfume, a new cologne? What is that? You know what I mean? Because I never got it, I always had to figure it out on my own. And then once I got to Cal, they kind of tell you what's there, you know what I mean? And me coming in, I did what is it? It's called EBT, but it's not for the card. It's like something Berkeley transfer or something like that. Experience Berkeley transfer. I went in there, and Enrique, he was the director at the time of that program. So it helped you with your application to come in to Berkeley, or to even just to apply. It wasn't just for Berkeley, it's, for all the UCs. But then he also said, okay, there's was it C3? It's like CE3, where it's like a equity, equality, and something else, like program, or like building or something, where it's for reentry students. It's for, which I am, student parents still is part of, you know, another organization, but it, and underground scholars and stuff. So that I found was big, because I didn't think that imposter syndrome that people talked about, you know, was real until I actually got in school, and I was like, what am I doing here? I'm in my 40s. These kids is 20. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. I don't know what the teachers are talking about, because the teachers are like, oh, did you guys read this book or this? And I'm like, I never even heard of it until now, because I mean, when I say I'm from Richmond, I'm from Richmond. I went to Kennedy High. We didn't have that. You know what I mean? I mean, I think Kennedy High got some funded now, but when I went, I was in the 90s. You know, that we didn't have that. You know, we don't even have windows. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even have a wall. It's like a divider that you could push on and stuff. And, you know, like, there's a lot of things that the quality of education here wasn't given. So I knew as I got older, like they say, a closed mouth don't get fed. So I went out, and it was like, okay, I seeking other, you know, a form of community, because yeah, you're gonna feel that imposter syndrome, but did it stop me? Hell no, because then I would tell myself, girl, look, you done been through too much to stop right now, and you made it here, you know, and that's just me, you know. And like Eldred said, you know, I got a faith, and I always say, you know, God didn't take me out of what he took me out of just to leave me right here. You know, he knows that, okay, you got a purpose, I showed you this. This is why I had to take you on that journey, so that you can get to here. But yeah, I think just finding something. But even with my professors and stuff, you know, I got one like as professor. Sorry, and I'm not using, you know, good terms or academic language, but you know, Professor Victoria Robinson, like, she's big on abolition, you know, and I took a class with her, and it was like, oh shoot, you know, like this, yeah, like she fuels more of, you know, of what I want to do, and she teaches it. That's what's even better. So it's not like just people like me, it's regular kids who never been through anything but do want to see change. So I think just reaching out and then being able to talk to people, they're a lot more open, you know, and not so judgmental as, you know, some of the people I've came across in my lifetime. Even my own family got more, you know, something to say in a negative form than strangers, you know. So I think just reaching out and letting people know, not saying going up to a stranger saying, oh, I did this and that, you know, but people that you see, or, you know, you'll be surprised at how many people actually want to help you out and see you, you know, fulfill your dream, and, you know, actually motivate them, you know, to do that and get you there. So I think that, yeah, it's just reaching out and seeing, you know, has helped me like tremendously. I didn't do certain things that I didn't know about if I didn't say anything, or, you know, put myself out there. So that's just my.
To answer your question I think from your guys' standpoint, I just think it's what you're doing, creating the community. Like at Berkeley, we have Styles Hall. So like my first semester, I used to run the Styles Hall. Well, and we would have multiple people there, from underground scholars, different staff members, or just students in there studying. I couldn't figure out how to print something. I'm running the Styles Hall. I got a question about finance. I'm running the Styles Hall. I wasn't running to SPRA. I wasn't running to like our main. I'm running there first to get the information I need, because somebody in that community is going to be able to say, oh, this is who you talk to. Like direct, like, and it's never failed me, because if they don't have the answer, they know somebody that has the answer. So I think it's just creating the community where students feel safe to come and to feel, I don't want to say the word stupid, but to feel uninformed about what they're learning, right? Because even as older students, we're learning a lot of stuff for the first time. It was kind of embarrassing not knowing how to work a printer. I'm like, where's the plug? He's like, oh, no, it's Bluetooth. Like, I didn't know I didn't know, right? So just knowing that you can come and have that support and nobody's judging you or looking at you like less than, I think that's empowering. We just were involved with a tour with a student who's graduated from juvenile hall, got into Berkeley, and he came out, we gave him a tour, showed him around campus, right? So just like welcoming, you know, students with those experiences goes a long way, because word of mouth, I've found, is what really does it, right? Students will tell people, they'll know. So, all right.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me that helped from like the staff wise was in Project Rebound particularly was a sense of community, like they've mentioned before, and support, and having someone to talk to, like you, Melvin, and you, Julie, and you, Andrea. Is just you have a community of people that care about you, and knowing that you can go somewhere to vent or have someone that has your back or people that understand where you're coming from. Because I felt lonely in chemistry. I was the only one, only person of color, definitely the only person that's ever been in trouble before. And it's a very competitive major. And when you have this cutthroat mentality that you're dealing with all day in class, where everybody wants the highest score because you have this guy wants to go to med school and this guy wants to go to MIT, so everybody's competing for this and nobody's really friendly. You have something you can go back to at the end of the day and have somebody to talk to. Like I've met a couple guys in the Project Rebound that I'm now very good friends with, that we talk with on a regular basis. We go have coffee on Sundays, little simple things like that. Because when you're coming out of that world, you got to leave. All of us know that have been there. You have to leave everything behind, and you have to make new friends. And it's really hard to not to go to school with all these people and you're not relating to them. So just having that community and that sense of friendship is probably the biggest help that I've experienced from this program.
Specifically, the program itself, the transfer student process for college, their support. I'm going to welcome Jalene Lamb and Melvin Calloway for this portion.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon? Yes, afternoon. Great to see everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here. Thank you, Mariah, for organizing this, and for our co-presenters over at UC Berkeley. It's so great to be here with you all. I'm sure you guys are all in the similar mindset. Semester starts next week. We're all panicking. Everything's happening all at once, but we'd love to take opportunities like this to get to know our community colleges in the local regions, as well as interact with the UCs and other universities that have similar student support services programs, because we all interact, we all serve a similar student body, and students come from community college to us. 100% of our Project Rebound scholars are all transfer students, most of them from community colleges. And so these networks are so important to us because they enable us to have chances to physically have warm handoffs of students from one college to another college. It's not just like, go apply to this college, you'll be fine, they have a program. It's like, hey, come meet the program coordinator, come meet the staff at this university, come have a tour before you decide to apply. These things are what really makes opportunities like this for students really important, and sets up opportunities for success as well. So I'm so thankful that we had a break in between the student panel and this, because that was a really hard act to follow up. So at least we got a little bit of a break. Mariah's told me I have 15 minutes, so I'm going to try to stick to that to be respectful of time. But also the students really covered a lot of what I'm going to talk about in this presentation. So Project Rebound and all of the support services that we provide, we have information that's available on our website, which should be live in the fall. But also you can also reach out to us. I'm going to go through these slides really quickly. I used to have on this slide a second chance for success, but actually Mariah and I were in a presentation or a meeting with several of the community colleges, And someone mentioned at Santa Rosa Community College, well, we have this student club called Second Chances, but the students always have this great debate about whether we should be called Second Chances, because some say we never really got a first chance in the first place. So I went through and I actually changed the title of this slide, and I thought that was a really good point. So this is a chance for success. So wherever you've been, whatever road you've traveled, this is your opportunity to pursue your educational career goals. And that's really all Project Rebound is. So you've already met Melvin Calloway. He's the one who runs the program, and I just kind of stay in the back and stay out of his way and get rid of all the obstacles that our university tries to put up in front of him, and he really runs the show. So I'm up here doing the presentation, but our three stellar staff here, we're missing one of our staff, Forrest Jones, who is on a hard-earned vacation. Our staff are really the ones who run the show for Project Rebound. I'm just the talking head sometimes. So Project Rebound, is a safe space. We really try to build a community where our students, we call them Rebound Scholars, are supported in the best way possible. We try to figure out what their academic goals are, what their career goals are, and then we try to build a path collectively with them, with their input, to get them to that place. If they want to graduate with their bachelor's degree, if they want to go on to a master's program, if they want to do a PhD program, if they want to work as a Project Rebound staff member, if they want to become teachers, there's lots of obstacles that come up for our students, and our role is try to eliminate those obstacles as best as possible and set them on a pathway where they will succeed. In terms of student support services program, we have a lot of them on our campus, but one really unique thing about Project Rebound is we never stop with our scholars. We don't just start when they come to our campus, we start from the very beginning. So Melvin, Eldridge, and Forrest at some point are going to all start going into places like the Juvenile Justice Center, the JJC. They'll go into prisons. Forrest does a lot of work with San Quentin, where he had spent some time, and he's going back to give to that community to try to put the name of Project Rebound and Underground Scholars into those potential scholars' minds, to encourage them to come out and seek our assistance when they're ready and when they're potentially out, or maybe even while they're still incarcerated. We do a lot of letter writing with students. We're working with a scholar right now at the Juvenile Justice Center who will be taking classes at Cal State East Bay in the fall remotely. So we start with the student before they even think about coming to a college. We try to recruit them, we mentor them. Melvin does a lot of this work, one-on-one support. When they come to the campus, obviously they're integrated immediately into our community, but even when they graduate, they're still a part of our community. So we keep them on our listserv, we have opportunities for graduate school or jobs, and we reach out to them and let them know. So it never stops with us. It's not just, when you transfer, when you graduate, and that's it. We start before, and we maintain communication afterwards. Our scholars are a part of our community, and we're just building that community. We're hoping never to have our numbers lower. We're just going higher and higher with number of scholars in our system. So this is not something that we came up with. I know UC Berkeley, they came up with their own program. They were the trailblazers. But actually, we are jumping onto the tail end of an effort that was really started at San Francisco State in 1967. So they've been around for a long time. It was Dr. John Irwin, who himself was formerly incarcerated. He received his degrees, his PhD, and eventually got a faculty position at San Francisco State in the Department of Sociology. And he started this program. It was around since 1967, and it was quite a while before anyone actually joined. So we are the 15th campus, but so 1967 was San Francisco State, but it wasn't until 2016 where they had a huge expansion effort and came to, I think, 6 or 7 other CSU campuses. In 2020, there was another big push, and there were another 6 campuses that were added. We, East Bay, are the most recent addition last year. We are the 15th campus, and as Melvin mentioned, there are 4 campuses right now with applications to join. So hopefully by the end of this year, we will be at 19 out of the 23 CSU campuses. As you all know, as a community college, there is a Rising Scholars Network, basically colleges with different ways that they interact with jails and institutions. So colleges with prison programs, or colleges like you that kind of go into prisons with curriculum opportunities. But they're all over the Bay Area. So we're really trying to connect with all of them because, obviously in Hayward on the East Bay, we have our kind of niche. We have Chabot, we have Laney, we have Merritt that we connect with, and a lot of our scholars come from those community colleges. But Mariah and I were just on a call where we're trying to expand that and try to work our way up and down the peninsula and over on the East Bay side to connect with as many community colleges as possible. Again, so that if a community college has a student where they're interested in Cal State East Bay, they can say, contact this person. They'll give you information, they'll welcome you onto your campus, they'll give you a tour so you can see what it's like. So community colleges are very important for us in terms of our network. So here, this is where I'm gonna really just skim over these slides. This is where I'm gonna cut time. So these are all the resources that we provide for our students, peer network opportunities, direct financial support. We have leadership, so Melvin and other folks in our Project Rebound staff are themselves formerly incarcerated, so they can make that connection with students and say, I know where you've been from, I know the obstacles that you face, here are some resources. Eldridge is a wealth of knowledge in terms of resources. That was just like a small inkling, I think, of what he knows. So we have him interact with our students and help them out with whatever they need. This one I'm going to skip over. Just basically, this is what we're trying to do. In summary, basically what I said before, trying to figure out what our students want out of their academic and career goals and how can we get them there. We were asked to also talk about the transfer student process. It's really simple right now. We're in our first year and we're at 27 students, so maybe as we start to grow, I mean, some of the larger programs like Fullerton have over 100 students. This might change, but basically it's like if you're coming from Rising Scholars, a community college, or if you're coming from probation, this is how we get folks' names, like somebody who's interested in coming to our program. Or we just have flyers around campus and we say, if you have any experience with incarceration, no matter how long, no matter how short, you are welcome as part of our community. And so if you have been formerly incarcerated, you're welcome into our program. That's basically the process. This one I will skip. It just basically says all the different things that we provide to our scholars. So a lot of it's financial support. Like you heard from the student panel, there's kind of like the big three things, right? Like tuition and financial aid, housing, cost of living in the Bay Area. Those are the main things, and everything else comes secondary. So a lot of what we do is financial support. But of course, all of those complicated processes that come with a university, like Cal Apply. If any of you have ever done Cal Apply, you know that that process is not easy for somebody who has resources and has people who have been through this. If you're trying to do that on your own, it can just be a very overwhelming process. So we help with applications. We help with FAFSA applications and financial aid. We do academic and career advising and counseling. Just to brag a little bit about our program, because Melvin and our prior executive director, Eileen Barrett, did a lot of work in their first year, and it really shows. As you heard from Melvin, they started out with 4 scholars when Melvin started in November, and we've grown to 27. Our target for this year is to hopefully hit 50. That's our number. We've got Fullerton in our sights, so we're trying to get over 100 at some point. Maybe not this year, but up to 50 is our goal. We have 4 scholars who graduated in May, one of whom is here, Eldridge Walker, and 3 of them are continuing to graduate programs. We don't ever forget about the 4th one. He also has his sights on a graduate program, but unfortunately, he is like one of the student panelists where he has to work a little bit on expungement and clearing some of his records because the field that he wants to get into will require a background check. We had 2 scholars this year who were accepted to the Project Rebound Research Lab. This is basically an intensive research opportunity for Project Rebound scholars to participate in research. They go to a conference, which our 2 scholars just got back from at Cal State University Long Beach. They present their research, they work with a faculty member the whole year, and it culminates in this conference. And so we're incredibly proud of them for going through this. We've hired scholars as part of our Project Rebound staff. So again, we've grown from Melvin and Eileen in the first year to myself taking over Eileen, but then we've added on 3 additional staff members who really do the grunt work of the program and the everyday sweat and tears that goes behind this program. And just really last, why East Bay? So one great thing about East Bay is that we're a pretty small campus. It's actually not a good thing this year because we have 10,000 undergraduate students, and it's actually diminished down to about 9,000. So of course the university's panning because we have low enrollment. It's a bad thing in some ways, but in other ways it's small, right? It's a small campus, it's a close-knit community. Like Eldridge said, you know, the departments are small. If something happens in a department to one faculty member, all the faculty member know, all the students know. So it's a close-knit community. But even more than that is the diversity of our student body, which is a little bit different from UC Berkeley. So we have 45% underrepresented minority population. So we have a very diverse campus. 43% of our students are classified as low-income students. Our average student age is 34. 42% of our students are over 25 years old. So when students come to our campus, you can tell it's different than a campus where you have an average age of 20, 21, students coming right from high school into an undergraduate program. It's just a different environment. It works for some students, not necessarily for others. But this is one reason why students pick East Bay, and this is why a lot of our Project Rebound scholars really feel at home on our campus. They feel a little more connected with our student body, and of course now having Project Rebound with our community there of other folks with lived experiences, it really speaks to the students that are transferring from similar community colleges. One thing that I just wanted to highlight is that these programs really do work. We only have 1 year of data, so it's not a huge sample size. Those of you, Eldridge is probably going to critique my sample size here. But we had 4 students. We had 4 students who were enrolled in fall, the entire semester in Project Rebound, and continued in the spring. For those 4 students, we averaged about $1,000 of scholarship investment, so not a whole lot because it was our first year, we didn't have a lot of money, but on average we saw a 1-point GPA increase for these 4 students. So we see that Project Rebound can make an impact, and we're hoping when we're finishing up this fall semester with a larger sample size, we'll really get to see that impact on our scholars. And that is it. So I want to thank everybody. Here's our contact information. Our website is in development, so that's not quite up yet. It's, again, our first year, so you'll have to excuse us. We're kind of building the plane frantically as we're also trying to fly it. But we will have a website up soon. Our email is up. We do have an Instagram and a Twitter. I am not on either one personally, so I'm still learning both of these social media platforms. So it's not the best, Instagram and Twitter, but we do post up. So feel free to follow us. And if we have announcements, job openings, other things, feel free to reach out to us for any information. Okay, thank you.
Can you, the recruitment efforts, or was it word of mouth in regards to the going from 4 students to 27 in a year?
Yeah, so I will take 0 credit for that. It was really Eileen, who was the executive director, and Melvin. So maybe I can pass the mic over to Melvin. He can talk about it.
So I would say, based on Eileen, she had done wonderful work. And then also myself, so it was a combination of both. It was a lot of like word of mouth. As you see, we still don't have a website, but there was a lot of like events and speaking engagements we were showing up to. I was reaching out to San Francisco State. I was walking through the communities in East Oakland, letting people know, hey, I'm at East Bay now. So, and then there was a lot of, brothers that, I left behind years ago that are still incarcerated, and I call them, I share the word, so it's a lot, Our staff on campus, they've been very supportive. They pass the word. It's just like, I guess word of mouth, or just like an effort just to help the program grow. So we've been thankful, we've been blessed, and people just come and bring a friend, and before you know it, we're at 27, and I think we may reach 50. I don't know by next year, but yeah. So.
Thank you for that, because that's going to be important for us, right? Because beyond just the effort, you were intentional of where you went, right? And intentional speed. And you went through, it wasn't, oh, I'm in my office, come see me. It's you're out there. You're out. And that relationship building. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
I will just add on real quick. I think Melvin mentioned San Francisco State and Jason Bell. I mean, he is very well known in the Project Rebound world. So we relied a lot on those connections. Even before Project Rebound was at Cal State East Bay, Jason was really a proponent for, hey, you guys, like, you need to have a program over here. Like, you got the whole East Bay, like, there's all these community colleges with programs, but not one CSU. So Jason and then Melvin, when he was at San Francisco State, really did push it. But at Cal State East Bay, there was a lot of interest. It was actually a faculty-driven effort. So myself and Eileen Barrett and a couple other faculty were the ones to bring this to administration. And we just happened to luck out. Like, the administration had been proposed this idea many times in the past, and they had always shut us down. We had a new president, a new interim provost who actually came from Stanislaus State, where she had started a Project Rebound. So we knew there was that administrative support. So it was kind of like a combination, like a perfect storm of wonderful things. Like, the administrative support was there, the faculty support was there, Project Rebound at San Francisco State support was there. And that really led to a lot of that recruitment, because Jason could say, hey, like, you know, we have a campus over here, community colleges, even the CSUs and the UCs, like, we do get some transfer students that come over if they're in a place where it's not the best fit for them. But it's word of mouth, very intentional. But yeah, this year, you know, we'll have a website, so I feel like, and we have Instagram and Twitter, so we're hoping that that expands our recruitment efforts. But it is a little more passive, so I think the active recruitment is going to be really important still. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jolene and Melvin. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing our rising scholars become Project Rebound students and underground scholars. So with that, we now get to hear from Michael and Danny in regards to the Underground Scholars Program at UC Berkeley. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
So I gotta press it.
When it's green, it's on.
Do you have the? How do we change the slides though? We gotta change it over there.
We don't have slides though.
No?
No.
At all?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess we have that outline there. Okay, then we'll just work with that outline. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danny Murillo. I am one of two co-associate directors for Berkeley Underground Scholars. And this is my colleague. Let him introduce himself.
Hi everyone, again, Michael Sardajara.
So Berkeley Underground Scholars started in 2013, right? We started with the Critical Prison Study and Reading Group that was led by two faculty members in the Ethnic Studies Department. And I was one of the first students at UC Berkeley who were identified as formerly incarcerated. We've had lots of formerly incarcerated people at Berkeley, Dr. John Irwin, one of them. But it wasn't until 2013 that we became more intentional and wanted to start a program. And then in 2014, out of this critical prison studies reading group, we started a student club, right? Underground Scholars Initiative. And by starting that student club, we were able to get $135,000 from $135,000 from student government in student fees. It was a grant that they gave us as a student club to use that money to start a pilot program for formerly incarcerated students. Okay. Yes, and so we that's what we used to start our student club, to start our pilot program, and then in 2016 we got $500K from the state governor, from the state budget, to institutionalize the model at UC Berkeley and to begin our expansion to the other UCs. In 2018, we hired Azadeh, who's now our executive director, and it was really her who really catalyzed the movement to go everywhere, right? In 2019, she got us a grant of $2 million, which was used to expand the model to all of the UCs, and we're currently at every UC. In 2022, we were granted $4 million every year through the state budget. That's going to be used now to fund all of the 9 programs across the UC system, right? So that's just kind of like a brief history of where we're at and how we started, right? And so briefly, we're going to kind of go do an overview of Berkeley Underground Scholars, our four pillars. And as Michael said, we're actually incorporating our fifth one. We're going to touch on the first three briefly, and then really get to the recruitment and retention, because I think that's kind of where it would be more useful for y'all folks here at Contra College, right? And so Underground Scholars is made up of 4 pillars, and we're in the process of incorporating our fifth one. And those pillars are recruitment, retention, advocacy, wellness, and our fifth one will be career services or career pathways, right? And so we're going to focus first on advocacy, wellness, and career services, and then we'll talk about recruitment and retention. So our advocacy program, right, we have a policy advocacy fellowship where we recruit 10 to 15 formerly incarcerated students that are in the UC system. So they're at different campuses, and our executive director, she will host weekly seminars where students come together on Zoom to discuss, everything from how to create policy to how to implement it to how to get it passed, and everything that you need to know about policy advocacy, right? But one of the cool things about it is that we also let our students either they create their own bill, or we partner with the community, with the different coalition that's already pushing a bill. For instance, this year we are supporting the Mandela bill, which is to end solitary confinement in California, which Hakeem kind of mentioned, right? So that's our policy fellowship. It's paid. It's a paid fellowship that teaches. It focuses on leadership development and policy advocacy, and it's also funded. I think we give them about $1,000 a semester.
And next, briefly discuss our wellness pillar. Our wellness pillar was added sometime in 2020. It's one of our newer pillars. And this pillar it's intended to recognize the systemic lack of access to wellness services faced by formerly incarcerated students, and intervening these inequities by providing financial resources and building bridges to existing resources both on and off campus. So something that we do on campus, and we partner with an outside organization, we offer healing clinics to our students. Maricela mentioned it earlier, the healing clinics. So we partner with Freedom Community Clinic, which is out of Oakland, and they come in and they provide wellness services to our students. So they provide massages, cupping, acupuncture, Reiki, those sorts of things. I think sound healing too, and I think it started a couple years ago, and our students really love it. We usually host it in the last month of the semester, right before finals, because we all know that finals can be a really stressful time for students. So we provide it during that last month as they prep for finals, just so they can relax, ground themselves, and just get ready for finals. And it's been a huge success. We also offer, this year we piloted a men's healing circle. So the men's healing circle, it was a 10-week pilot, and it was designed to support male identifying formerly incarcerated and system impacted students who aim to continue learning how to show up with integrity, care, and respect for the communities themselves. And its goals are to come together to build community, to learn and unlearn together using a restorative justice circle format. During each session, students engage in political education, reflection, and socio-emotional learning focused on our relationships to masculinity, patriarchy, power, oppression, accountability, and commitments to our communities and ourselves. And that it also was a big success. Like, students are asking if it's going to return, this semester and the following. So right now we're in the process of figuring out if we're going to offer it every semester or just once every academic year. We also provide funding for students who participate and complete the 10-week program. And yeah, so those are some of the wellness things that we offer. Danny's going to speak on a couple of other things.
Right. So part of our wellness pillar is our wellness fund. Student-led, which is Underground Scholars Initiative, and they're able to apply for funding through the campus, and they were granted $86,000 for the Wellness Fund, and they're using it to, folks can go to massage therapy, to to do sound baths, to do anything that has to do with their mental well-being, physical well-being, and spiritual well-being. And then we also do wellness retreats. We do either nature or social retreats with our students and staff. Last beautiful place where where natural spring waters. We took these mud baths. We took a hike to a little hiking trail to end up at a little spot where we went swimming in the river. So it was just an opportunity for us just to leave campus and just kind of be out in nature, enjoying ourselves. So that's pretty much what makes up our wellness program, our pillar.
And so the next thing we were going to touch on is the career services pillar that is literally in the process of being implemented. So we don't have much to say about it other than the fact that we got some funding from a donor of $100,000 to help us kick off this new pillar. So we're able to so we're going to have $50,000 for the first year. We're doing a pilot. We're partnering with a program called Represented Leadership, which was founded at UC Berkeley as well, to offer career services to our students. So like career training, preparation, coaching, things like that. Because we've actually both done research on, what happens after graduation, with entering the labor market, the workforce. So we're starting to think about that now, so after our students leave the university, like what comes next? So that's sort of why we thought of implementing this new pillar. So we hope to offer more information about that, after this first year pilot, and yeah.
So now we're going to focus on our recruitment strategies, which is really, where a lot of our population comes from, right? And it's really targeting the community colleges and also the prison programs. So in our recruitment pillar, we have a variety of programs that target folks on the inside and folks on the outside. For instance, we have the Incarcerated Scholars Program, which is an academic support service. We offer transcript analysis to incarcerated students who want to transfer to the UC. So we have them send us their first they contact us asking us, a lot of times like, hey, I want to take classes with Berkeley. Like, we don't offer classes, but this is what we offer. We first provide them an intake form. They fill it out, with a bunch of questions that we have on there, regarding their academic interests, where they're paroling to, and just, when they get released. And then once we have that information along with their transcript, then we start kind of coaching them and guiding them in terms of what they need to do to be able to be on track to transfer to a UC. We also do transfer application support. So we've supported students while incarcerated and have gotten admitted into the UC while incarcerated. And then, upon release, they'll continue their education. And we also do letters of support for lifers that are going to parole board. There's also the Incarceration to College program, which is an A through G high school credit college prep course for incarcerated youth that's being offered in 3 counties, Alameda, Contra Costa, and San Francisco, right? And these are offered at different juvenile hall facilities, and also some of those students that have gotten released are now transitioning into the UC, right? And then there's the Ambassadors Program. The Ambassadors Program is specifically for community college students, formerly incarcerated system impacted students in community college. It is a leadership development program that focuses on advocacy. We teach folks how to advocate for themselves and how to advocate collectively, how to advocate locally and statewide, how to organize on their campus, in their community, how to power map their campus in terms of who do they need to know to be able to get things done on their campus, and also focusing on how to tell their stories. That's something that we try to teach folks is being mindful, like when they share their stories and who they're talking to, right? Because what you tell a group of high school kids be very different than what you tell a senator, right? And so being able to how to use your story for action, right? We want to make sure that when you share your story with someone, that they're not walking out of there feeling pity, but instead they're looking at ways to address the issue that you put in front of them, right?
And then I'll be speaking on our transfer program. So a lot of these efforts that Danny just talked about, they really work together, right? And our transfer program is probably where that's where we get the most, well, that's where we get, that's mostly how we get our students into the university, right? So every year we open up our transfer cohort. So students, community college students that are ready to apply to university, they apply to, be a part of our transfer program. And, if they are admitted, they're paired with a transfer coordinator that offers one-on-one support with their UC application. So they walk them through the entire UC application up until the day that it's due, 11:59, November 30th, 11:59 p.m. November 30th is when the UC application is due. So they pretty much, guide them throughout the entire process up until that due date. And the transfer program also offers transcript analysis. So we make sure that students are ready to apply to the university. So we make sure they have the necessary prerequisites already done. They have the GPA that is, minimum GPA requirement that the UC has in place. And we offer guidance with the PIQs. The PIQs is probably the most important part, other than having the prerequisites done. The PIQs stands for personal insight question. Those are the short statements. Transfer students have to answer 4 questions. And this is where our students shine through compared to like the regular applicant to the UC. And again, the transfer coordinator offers one-on-one support with that and guidance. And what we really tell our transfer students who are applying is to not be afraid to talk about their stories. Of course, we don't force them to talk about their stories. Sometimes people don't want to revisit, traumatic events and things like that, or trauma dump. But we really try to help our students understand that, our stories of resiliency should be looked at as an asset when applying to university within the UC system. So we really encourage our students to tell their stories and show the upward trajectory, really. I wish we had more time because there's a lot more detail to be shared there, but yeah, transfer program. So, and yeah, next is cross enrollment. So our cross enrollment program, we also offer cross enrollment. So cross enrollment, community college students are able to take a class at the UC Berkeley specifically for college credit. And this gives them an opportunity to take a class at the university and get a feel for what it's like to be a student at UC Berkeley. It's a real class. They're taking the class with other UC Berkeley students. Right now we're offering classes through the ethnic studies and sociology departments. Faculty that are, really supportive of us and our movement. They're the ones who teach the class. The GSI is usually a graduate student of ours, and that GSI is assigned as that student's tutor throughout the process. So they really help them, try to be successful in the class. We pay for their books and their tuition fees. And it looks really good on college application, right? They already took a class at the UC, so when they're applying, they're able to put this down, and it stands out on the UC application. And then on-campus recruitment, we don't really focus too much on on-campus recruitment. Most of our recruitment efforts are to the community colleges and within prisons and jails and juvenile halls. A lot of our recruitment efforts is also now word of mouth. Before, it used to be like super focused and intentional. But I think that we've garnered enough attention that, people know where to send students to. We're pretty active on social media as well. So we're always posting stuff when, programs are available and opportunities become available. But, on-campus recruitment, we still do if and when, students are willing and able to. Some professors will ask our students to come and speak at an event in a class to share their stories or just to chime into the conversation. So, recruitment happens there in those cases too. But again, most of our recruitment efforts are focused outside of the university. And yeah, now we jump into retention, right? How much time do we have?
It ends in 10 minutes.
Okay, there's a lot on retention, so I'm gonna try to cover as much as I can. But our retention is, that's something that we really, put a lot of emphasis in, because not only is it about getting students to the UC or any university, but it's getting them through, right, successfully. Success looks different, right? But we just want to make sure that they graduate and they finish. So we offer a variety of resources and opportunities to aid in our students' retention. One of those being employment. We offer student employment to our students. That's super important because, some of our students, they still do need a wage. And not only does it provide a wage, but it provides professional experience and training. They're able to put this stuff down on their resume or their CV, or, and we offer a variety of positions. So again, transfer coordinators is probably our main one. We usually hire about 6, transfer coordinators. We have an ambassador coordinator, an incarcerated scholars program coordinator, a wellness coordinator, an outreach coordinator, and a communications coordinator. And all of these, obviously, they focus on one of the 4 main pillars, right? And our communications coordinator, we're developing that right now. And we also offer our graduate students, our students that are graduate students at the UC, if they are willing and are able to, if they have the capacity to, be a tutor for our undergraduate students, we offer them that opportunity, and it's paid. So, that's another thing that we help with. Academic advising. So we, provide assistance with course enrollment and guidance. But I think one thing that I always like to share is that I think that for course enrollment, it's all about the peer mentorship. So when I came in as an incoming UC Berkeley student, my peers around me, they were the ones sort of telling me, because they've already been through it, right? They were the ones telling me, hey, take these classes. This is who you need to take. This is the professor you need to take. These are the professors you need to stay away from. So it's strategic enrollment. That's what I like to refer it as. And that's where just the peer mentorship really shines. And that's how we're able to really learn and look out for each other. Who are our allies? Who are our allies? The faculty and staff on campus who are there to support us and who are there to make it harder for us. We also provide assistance for students who are struggling with their courses. So we provide them with options, whether it be we encourage them to meet with their professors and try to work something out. If they need to take a class pass no pass, or take an incomplete. We offer financial aid advising. We have a dedicated financial aid advisor, and we got lucky with that because a financial aid officer actually attended one of our graduation events, I think in 2019, and she was really moved by the event and was really moved by our students and the stories they were sharing. So she came to us, a week later telling us hey, I want to help you guys. I'm willing to advise your students on their financial aid packages. So that relationship is still ongoing. She provides office hours once a week for our students to meet with her and discuss their financial aid package. And, our students have a lot of questions about the financial aid package. A lot of the times financial aid makes that thing extremely difficult to understand. Tons of numbers, you don't know what's going on. So she's really helpful in helping our students understand what's going on in their financial aid package. And she's actually shown us how to, sort of finesse the system too when needed, how to get our students more money and how to increase their budgets, things like that. So it's been extremely helpful. We have professional staff on the faculty advisory board. So right now we're sitting at 26 members. So this advisory board consists of, again, professional staff and faculty at UC Berkeley. And again, these are people that are allies, that support our students, that look out for our students. And we offer 2 gatherings per semester. So we give an opportunity for this board to meet with our students, mingle, network, and it goes a long way, in just building relationships and connections. We, again, tutoring services. We offer tutoring services for our undergrads. And this helps with academic writing, planning, and organization. Our tutoring services, they also include scholarship, support when applying for scholarships, also graduate school applications, and we, financial aid, financial assistance is the biggest one, as Julian mentioned. So we offer basic needs stipends once a year. We offer graduating student stipends. So when one of our students are graduating, we provide them with a graduation stipend. Funding amount depends on our budget, but it's a pretty good it's a pretty good stipend. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I could have gone into more detail about a lot of these, but sorry.
Timing.
Yeah. So right now we're currently sitting
The
at.
question was how many students are in the program?
So right now we're currently sitting at 79 current students. We have 16 incoming new students that haven't been added to our roster. So I'm bad with numbers in my head. So 79 plus 16, whatever that is.
And the faculty
Advisory board.
how did you guys go about getting that collaboration together?
I think Danny could speak to that.
I think that came about just when we first initially started. There was a lot of support on campus, right? And once we started our pilot program, we thought that having an advisory board of faculty it made perfect sense, right, for a lot of our students who wanted to come in and do research. So it really started off with research mentors, and it just expanded into not just expanding outside of faculty. We also have staff and administrators that are on the board.
And it's just grown over the years. It's just grown with. Yeah, and it's cool.
Thank you for sharing. I really wondering about your method for financial aid. That can be an incredible barrier for so many of our students. I am past financial aid, current basic needs, and you can see why I made the switch. But I wanted to ask, are all your students California residents when they transferred in or came in, or did any of them transfer from out of state?
That's a good question. Currently, I believe they're all California residents. We had, yeah, they're all California. I was thinking I think we were gonna have one from New York, but he's living in LA, right? So he's already a resident. Remember, he was thinking of transferring.
Oh, San Diego.
Yeah.
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 Because in the college pipeline, I would say that California is miles ahead of every other state.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've been meeting with a lot of universities and campuses from other states because they want to build a program as well. So we've been consulting and stuff, and we're trying to expand that. We're trying to expand our model, out of state also. So hopefully, it'll come together.
So in respect to time, I just want to thank you, both of you, for sharing all your information. But I just have one question, and I see your program is kind of set up at the UC level. So you are on all 9 campuses, correct?
8.
8 campuses.
So excluding,
What?
well, excluding, because there's 9 UC campuses.
Undergraduates. There's 9 undergraduate campuses, and then we have the law school and the medical school.
Yeah, so then that would be 7 campuses. We're on 7 campuses because it's 9 total. UCSF doesn't count and Hastings doesn't count.
That's 11 campuses. He's not good at numbers, he says. You just say that, though.
All right, so my second question is, do you guys have a consortium too? Like similar to Project Rebound, or?
We don't have a consortium. We do have the statewide student leadership, right? Okay. So students meet collectively, and they inform how the staff is going to move. So we do have a statewide staff. Like we do meet, but unfortunately, it's not all the UCs are on board in a way. So we do meet with, like, for instance, UC Berkeley, UC Santa Barbara, UC Irvine, and UCLA and UC San Diego. We meet every other 2 weeks, staff meetings. Yeah, every other 2 weeks, right? UC Davis is in the hiring process right now. UC Merced is in the hiring process right now. UC Santa Cruz, they've been hired people down there, and UC Riverside, but for some reason they don't want to play with us. Right? But yeah. So yeah, we do. We're trying to organize ourselves collectively statewide, right? But there's issues when it comes to funding and state funding and all that. Yeah. Yeah, we're at UCLA. We're not at USC. USC is like a private. Yeah. But we have a program at UCLA. And Irvine. Irvine's one of our strong ones too. Yep, they just hired a program coordinator who came out of our student leadership, who is now going to be the program, not sure what her title is, either director or coordinator, but yeah, Colleen Murphy was just hired, recent alum from San Diego as well. Yeah, you're welcome, thank you.
Thank you all so much. So I want to be really respectful of time. I was going to give some updates on the progression with the Rising Scholars Program here, but I will just say very briefly scholars, then that's all you can commit to. But definitely becoming URL, take a look at that and complete it, and at least commit to continue learning. But there are other opportunities that are potentially monthly, potentially teaching in the detention center. There's a lot of other ways to be able to engage with what we're doing here on campus. That everyone, including Maricela specifically pointed out earlier, it's so important for success of students in this population. So I will just close everything out very briefly to be respectful of time. I really want to thank Jaleel Lamb, Melvin Calloway, Michael, Sarah Jara, Danny Murillo, Jacob Kelly, Akeem Owen, and Maricela Tenori for taking their time to come and speak with all of us and share with us as we're building our campus community around this. I look forward to collaborating and hearing more about what happens next as we work to create a more embracing, supportive culture, success here at Contra Costa College. And I will say, I know there is so much content and so much more that we can talk about. So if you have additional questions, feel free to send them to me. I'm of course going to follow up with an email in the presentation, and I can route them appropriately because I know these programs are so amazing and there's so much collaboration that can happen in the future. So thank you again.